Alright, welcome back to We Play Games. I'm Walker, and here we are resuming our SpellForce Conquest of Eo, Necromancer of Draycott campaign. So we're playing on the highest difficulty level here in SpellForce Conquest of Eo. Hopefully we will do well for ourselves, but we've got our first apprentice, and we cleared out the circle tower, and now we have control over one source of all fire. But I noticed here that there's another source of all fire nearby. And you'll see that there's some mountains here, so normally we wouldn't be able to get there. But fortunately for us, one of our ghouls actually learned Mountaineer while it was leveling up. And that's one of the important things in SpellForce, is just trying to make sure your options are flexible. So we can send this ghoul to the Dwarven Windweed that regenerates all of our movement points, and then we can just move up here and see what's guarding it. Alright, looks like it's 3 lesser ice golems. 3 lesser ice golems, assuming they don't have any hidden units anywhere, should be pretty easy for us to clear with a real stack. But unfortunately, of course, only one ghoul has Mountaineer, so that's not enough. But it does mean that if we can swing around this way, we can get a lot more Allfire, and Allfire is just an insanely useful thing. You can translate it into everything else, which is always good. But there's also another apprentice nearby in the College of Primordial Knowledge, so we'll want to get there pretty soon. And there's another inn over here, and an inn generates enemies, so we got a lot of stuff around us. Okay, we harvested magical water with one of our ghouls. Ghouls are a really useful unit because they can swim. So here, as long as we stay in the water, then these snow leopards won't be able to attack us. So we can use the ghouls to scout, we can use them to identify, oh, there's another spawner right there in the fog of war. But if you'll recall, there's a group of snow leopards right over here. So I want to get them to attack us inside our domain, because any fights you take inside your domain, you get a nice little bonus. You get +1 willpower, +1 armor, +2 damage, and that's a pretty big deal, actually. Oh, cool. So we found a mana stash over here with our ghoul scout. Oh, and there's a bunch of dwarves over here. All right, so we want to stay away from them, just in case they are the types of stacks that attack out. Because there do seem to be 2 kinds of stacks here in SpellForce. Some that are aggressive and some that are not. But here we've got the snow leopards attacking us. Awesome. So yeah, let's go ahead and fight this battle. Snow leopards are pretty scary because they have prowl, which allows them to jump, attack, and guard. And so they're really good at disrupting. And then of course, as soon as they get an opportunity to respond, they can do some really damaging melee attacks. So they're a very scary enemy. Alright, so it looks like there's just a wide open plain here, but it also looks like there might be an elevation advantage coming this way. Elevation just gets you extra damage when it comes to your ranged attacks. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to try to control the high ground. Alright, looks like one of the snow leopards fell for it, and indeed we are getting the high ground bonus. So there we attacked with our plague bearers first, even though it is going to cost us potentially a soul here, but I think we can still roll for it. Ah, great, we got soul caged. And by doing maximum damage with our plague bearers, what we're going to be doing is setting ourselves up to potentially get a zombie curse. Killed mortal units turned into walking corpses after battle when they suffered enough damage from a unit with the zombie curse. So hopefully plague bearers can keep recruiting units for us, because we really do need bodies to throw into stacks at this point. But of course, one thing we can do to help ourselves out here is summon a walking corpse onto the battlefield right now. And that'll hopefully draw the attention, yep, of the snow leopards. Wow, they just fell for it hook, line, and sinker. Oh, cool, we got the second soul caged. This is going to be a really good battle then. Yeah, let's have the plague bearers just open up on these guys. Good. And then I guess we'll try to finish off with the walking corpses here. All right, great, we got it. Oh boy, we gained 2 level 2 souls. They're both double green pips, which is pretty difficult when it comes to translating it into good value. But boy, that's a really, really strong ability if you can get it on somebody. Oh, great. And we got a walking corpse. Oh, and we got +5 mana per day. That's going to be really good when it comes to the development of our tower. Now, the biggest thing here is, what did we roll on Jonath? I'm really hoping we rolled Undead Healer. That would be enormously useful. Ah, no good. Oh, but we did get Commander as an option. Okay, that's fine. Commander gets us 20% more experience points, which just means it's a lot faster for us to hit Undead Healer, I hope. Yeah, given that we don't have Undead Healer, I think we are going to pick up Melding Flesh here, and we'll take speed on the other ghoul. But yeah, not only did we clear that battle without taking any damage, but we also picked up another walking corpse, which is going to be great because we're going to need a lot of walking corpses if we're going to be clearing this area. There are some pretty strong enemies in front of the apprentice. So let's go ahead and just get some more experience points with Jonath here. I think we can do it without losing one of these ghouls. So there isn't a height advantage here, but there's this wide open plain. And so we want to get the dwarves to move into that plain so we can tear them apart with our ranged units. All right, looks like the arsonists are going to lay into the ghouls. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to finish off the arsonists with our other ghoul, and then we can use raise undead. Yeah, like every time we summon these walking corpses, they just get completely clobbered by the AI, but that's okay with me, because that means that A, these dwarves are now easier to follow up on, and B, all that damage isn't going into permanent units. So yeah, it looks like these ghouls are about to get crunked, but that should be okay, because they can always heal by eating these corpses. My understanding now is that the game will actually use Consume Corpse at the end of a battle if it can. So we'll see what happens with this ghoul here. It right now has 11 damage on it, and so it should be able to heal those up. Let's try Soul Cage. Nah, no good. Ah, good. Yeah, the ghouls did indeed use Consume after the battle, and so they were able to heal themselves. That's a huge speed increase for the Necromancers. Oh boy. All right, so I think we're going to take Assault here. Assault applies broken armor, which is a huge deal against some enemies, and right now we struggle to really deal with high armor defensive units because we don't have access to guard break yet. We just haven't found the soul that gives you that ability. Oh, but we got a greedy soul in that battle, so let's go ahead and make another skeleton warrior. They're pretty inexpensive. They've updated the UI here, so now you can actually sort things via what sort of threshold you're working in the crafting screen. And so we can actually craft a lot more easily. Yeah, so here we can craft this, get another greedy skeleton warrior on the board. The skeleton warriors are going to be really helpful considering that we're hiring 2 more sentries. And skeleton warriors really are a great tank unit. We haven't encountered a high DPS ranged unit where we want the skeleton warriors just yet, but they have Ribcage, which is +4 armor against missile attacks, and then Shielded, which is +2 armor. So they functionally have 15 armor against ranged attacks. Goblin archers here, they do 20. And so if you can find goblin archers to fight against, then skeleton warriors basically ignore their ranged attacks if they're in defensive mode. They take like 1 or 2 damage. It's ridiculous. But we do have +5 mana from the current week. So what does that mean for us? Well, it means a couple of things. First, we actually have enough remains that we can invest in the creation of a minion, and now we can summon a second Necromancer minion. That's going to be really helpful because we do want to get the Soul Well online, and we already used our pure pristine soul to make this vampire acolyte, and so we're pretty far off from having a soul well online, but I'd love to have one. And of course, one way to ensure that you get it is to get more souls. You can cast Soul Cage, but it's really inefficient. And I think actually, because we're getting this extra mana, I'm just gonna crank our mana to absolute max, and then we'll invest in building a study as soon as possible. Oh, over here we have Into the Snows. So this is gonna be a story event for us, for sure. As you wander the Windwall Mountains, a sudden avalanche crashes down next to you. It barely passes your troops, ripping stones into the deep and uncovering a cave entrance. From within, you can hear a hungry and dangerous growl. So this is our army without our commander, so I don't think we're going to attack the snow leopards. Instead, we'll just hide behind the boulders. A small pack of snow leopards jump forth from the cave and takes off into the mountains. They must have been trapped in there for some time. With them gone, you take a moment to inspect the cave they sprang from. Among the chewed remains of at least 2 dwarves, you find some coins and riches. What a sad fate to be trapped with hungry snow leopards. We're gonna leave, or we would meet the same fate. Fighting snow leopards without our apprentice would just be sacrificing these units for nothing. Especially because I think what we're gonna do here is we're gonna attack this watchtower. The watchtower, of course, when it's explored, reveals a large area around it, and that'll give us an idea of what sort of enemies we can face when we're attacking the College of Primordial Knowledge. Because the second apprentice really is a big deal in terms of upgrading your strength. Oh, we encountered an event. It is market day. As people walk the streets looking to trade and gossip, bits of conversation float towards you. And turned into a huge beast the size of a horse. He ran after the creature and all I could hear was thrashing and snarling. I sure am glad they didn't see you. That gore might have ripped you to pieces. The circle mage gore? The 2 villagers look at you in surprise. The very same. People say he can turn into anything he wants, no matter the size. I heard he turned into a giant bear and swallowed a whole herd of oxen once. You should not believe rumors so readily. But yeah, I love the little flavor that they've written into the campaign here. Some of it you'll encounter with specific events, like we had a tower that spawned over here, and there's an event quest here with a Shaper secret. But sometimes you'll just be walking along the map and you'll get swirling books around you, and that means you got some fun coming. All right, let's actually attack the watchtower here. It's only 3 enemies. We could auto-resolve this, but again, I don't want to be sacrificing these ghouls. And if we can get a level 2 soul, I'd like it. So the workers attacked, so we should have an opportunity here to fire back. All right, we got the soul cage. We just barely missed the kill on the worker. I think what we're going to do is this. I think we're going to take out the dwarven workers with Jonath, and that's going to let the plague bearer do the most damage to these warriors. Because if we can kill them after doing a ton of damage with the zombie curse, hopefully we'll get another one. And then I think we're just going to guard with our ghouls. Poor ghouls. Going to get wailed on yet again. Alas, no soul caged on the cutthroats. But 2 more lesser vigorous souls. Every time we get a lesser vigorous soul, it's still going to be useful, because we can always sell it for mana. Alright, so this is actually a pretty strong ghoul that we've built up here. It has lucky and mana affinity, and so rather than taking Mountaineer, I think I'm going to take Willpower here just to turn it into a stronger tank. Oh, but here's a ghoul that has mine ore already, and so giving it Mountaineer means that now we can travel into interesting places on the map and do some really hardcore mining. So I actually really like that. Like here, for instance, this mountain copper vein, our ghoul can't move on to mine because it doesn't have the Mountaineer ability. So there's a lot that having Mountaineer and mining together unlocks for you. Ooh, and there's an unguarded mana stash. Let's go into the snows. The massive gate towers high above you. A stone-carved dwarf stares blankly into the mountains, while very lively ones watch the neighboring lands of the Highmark. There's a loud rumbling roar as the gate opens for you. The guards beckon for you to pass through quickly. A truly beautiful piece of artistry. I like dwarves. I think they're fun. I think they're really cool. I think that they did a great job with the aesthetic here. This definitely captures like a winter dwarven, I would want to call it a wonderland. A dwarven winter slowly crumbling empire. That's the feel that they captured really well here. Ooh, there's a hamlet over there. That's really strong. Anything that grants additional hiring slots or faster hiring is just always really good. So we could sell this lesser feral soul for 6 mana. We're not going to have a lot of beast units floating around because we just don't get a lot as necromancers. So if we sell the lesser feral soul and then we sell 4 of our lesser vigorous souls, that gets us 50 mana, which means we can go ahead and build our study. Now next turn we are going to need a little more mana in order to finish up the minion. I think that's worth it because just getting more resource production is always strong. We need 90 gold for the workshop though, so I think we're still 1 or 2 turns off from starting that. You know what? Why don't we plop down a lodge right here? I think we can defend this lodge pretty well. This lodge is going to take 2 turns to build, and so there's a chance that we need to break and have troops run away. But I think what we'll do is just send off the ghoul and then bring our new main stack forward, because we have a sentry, we have a vampire acolyte, we have some really strong units here. You know, there's some sky iron right here, so let's go ahead and get to work on that with our new mountaineer ghoul. Oh boy. Triple mole beast over there. That's really scary. In order to fight this stack, I think we're gonna need to be inside our domain, but hopefully this lodge gets finished before they show up. And of course we've now summoned our necromancer minions, so we have the resources we need to build a second army. Some of the second army will have to die getting its commander, but we are definitely getting there now. We're still just frighteningly low on blue, on arcane. And so it's going to be difficult for us to build an undead mage to begin with. But again, we just don't really have a particularly good soul for it. I think the best we have here is a lesser feral soul, and that's still not really good enough for me. If we had a way to use this greater vigorous soul for something productive, then I might. But we'd need either a double death pip to offset this, or we'd need a triple of either elemental or arcane without anything attached to it. It's just not very likely. Well, let's see. If we hit 75 mana, then we can build Study again. That might be worth it. Yeah, we'll just make a Vigorous Soul into a Ghoul, and the Pristine Soul into another Ghoul. Ghouls are just always useful. Oh, but we can sell a whole bunch of this Mountain Copper and the Potent Water, and now we have enough money to build our workshop. Oh boy. Alright, so the mole bears are inside our territory. People from a nearby village come to you in search of help. Last night our treasury was emptied. We don't have the power to go after them, even though they left a clear trail. And without the gold, we cannot pay the king's taxes. Get out of here. I can't pay the king's taxes either. We just spent all our money in our laboratory. So unfortunately, we actually can't reach these mole beasts in time. And so we have some options here. A, we could ignore them entirely and just let them attack the mage tower. But if the mage tower dies, then you lose. Ooh, the mole beasts have Mountaineer, unfortunately. Okay, so these ghouls are not safe over there. I think what we're going to have to do is just hope that this lodge can be constructed next turn. We're going to go pick up the blessing, go get our movement points restored. And now we can't actually attack the mole beast this turn. Oh, and there's cutthroats over here, and axe wielders, and dwarven workers. Oh boy. We'll clear these cutthroats off, and then we'll bring our main armies back to deal with them. So let's go deal with this cutthroat. This is coming from that inn over here. This is a pretty strong army, and this is a pretty weak one, but we do have our new Necromancer minion in it, so I think we should be okay. Oh, interesting. So here we've got a battle on a lake. I think we're gonna want to position our skeleton warriors to draw fire from the dwarven workers here. So we could actually move into range and start shooting at the dwarven workers with our goblin archers here, but we're doing such a tiny amount of damage that I don't think it's worth sacrificing guard for. All right, so we could attack back on the dwarven workers here, but I think we're gonna get more value just trying to take out the cutthroats. Great, so we got soul caged. So the cutthroats are down to 29 health. Boy, they're just wailing on our walking dead over here. If we end up losing them, that's not the end of the world because they were free. All right, we got a lesser greedy soul and a lesser pristine soul. Uh-oh, looks like this ghoul is about to get ambushed. We'll retreat, but if we get retreated multiple times with undead, they just die. Oh, cool. Another mana stash. Would not hate getting that. All right, so let's see if my memory serves correctly. So we have 3 turns to clear the mole beast. That's fine. But of course now our sack stack is too far away from the tower to help this turn. I think we're okay if they attack us. Oh, and of course we do have this lesser glyph of healthy. So this gets you 10 additional life, but it gives you 2 green pips, which means we really can't use it in necromancy. And vampire acolytes have this undying ability, so they come back if they die. So attaching glyphs to them, really not a big deal. It basically is always going to be useful here. What a masterpiece. But this apprentice lodge exerts domain in the same way that our main tower does, and so it exploits the territories near it. And this ruins is currently under control of the game, so we're going to go clear it out with our new sentries, see how they do. Oh, we have a dwarf in our group too. You find the ruins of a fort. The remains are barren except for old dwarven script on one of the larger wall pieces. So we have a dwarf unit, so we can actually read it. Hidden treasure by the moving tree. Oh, let's search for the tree. You find a tree fitting the strange description. It has a wide crown, a thick trunk, and large roots that stick out of the earth. The tree sways back and forth, sometimes opposing the wind, almost as if it is breathing. You know what? Let's fight it. We have a Necromancer minion here, and we have a Dwarven sentry, so we might be able to handle a pretty strong enemy. Physical resistance, elemental resistance, white damage. Walker, why are you fighting these guys? Why are you doing this? You're crazy. You're gonna die. Start the battle. So there is a high ground over here, so we'll try to occupy it. Alright, so the nature elementals have both cursed our units. But now we have a pretty clean shot into one of them, so I think we'll take it. Alright, so we got a soul caged on one of the nature elementals. That's a good deal. But we do need to take it out, unfortunately. Otherwise, it can just blow us apart with white damage. And I think what we'll do with our ghouls is move behind and guard. Boy, good thing, because otherwise they were going to get pummeled there. Looks like they're going to die anyway. I think our only chance to save the ghouls here is to just move in with the skeleton warriors. Oh man, they're going to make it. Sick. Oh boy, and we got 2 more souls out of that, including a greater greedy soul and a corrupted ruby. Oh, that's gonna be awesome. Having slain every elemental, you find but a single glyph between them. Were they really guarding this alone for so long? Alright, so this is a triple green. That means that basically this doesn't work at all as a necromancy ingredient, but it gives you mental curse. Blocking your opponent from entering guard stances is pretty good. But unfortunately that did clear the location, so now it's gone. But now we have gold affinity, plus 2 gold per day on the sentries. That's another good reason to get sentries and level them up. Well, using the Greater Greedy Soul, we can make another Vampire Acolyte if we want. It'll be a Vampire Acolyte with randomly the Mine Ore ability, which isn't very good. And it would use our Crystalline Splinter. But Vampire Acolytes are literally unkillable. So they're very, very powerful. I'd like to have one for each of our apprentices. I think I'm going to hold off on this Vampire Acolyte just for now until we get our second apprentice, in case we can find a better soul, but I'm excited to have that as an option. Alright, so now our army is truly enormous, and I feel pretty confident in our ability to beat these mole beasts, but I think we're going to save that for the next episode. So join us for the clearing of the tower, and hopefully the construction of another study, because I love studies. They're really powerful. Extra research is really good, and they pay themselves back pretty quickly if you establish them early. Alright, that's Walker. Take care.